Hey gaming fans, so today I have another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, and this is Yosenju's. This deck it's actually pretty fun to play, and you know, there's a lot of different ways you can actually play this deck, and this is just one way that I thought of, and it kind of uses the training grounds and a lot of other searching cards. So let's get to the deck profile. So start off, I'm trying out one Yosenju Kodam. Now, originally I thought this card was, a waste of time, and I just read it again. This was a while ago. I thought it was useless. I kind of threw it in my bin. But I looked at it, and it actually could be pretty good if you open up with it and the training grounds. And I have lots of ways of searching in this deck. So, if you contribute this card to target one Yosen Training Grounds and place 3 counters on it. So, Yosen Training Grounds is basically a continuous spell card, which I'll show later, which allows you to remove 3 counters to search any card. So this becomes a, kind of like a tutor in a sense. But it also has the once per turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard to normal summon one Yosenju during your main phase. So even though you have to normal summon this guy and tribute him off to get his effect, you can get another normal summon out of his secondary effect in the grave. So I thought, one might be actually pretty good. So I'm just going to put one in there. The next one I have is Yosenju Isna, which is a really cool card. I mean, this card actually, every turn, as long as you don't get disrupted, you're going to be drawing a card, an extra card. So, once per turn during your end phase, so all your Yosenju cards have pretty much the same effect where they bounce back to your hand at the end of turn. This guy's no exception, you've got 2 effects with this guy. You can discard him, and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when our Yosenju monster is normal or special summoned. So that's okay if you suspect your opponent has like Torrential Tribute or something like that, something that will disrupt your play. But the secondary effect is probably what you're going to use the most, and that is once per turn. If you control another Yosenju monster, you can draw 1 card. So pretty cool effect. And then we play 2 of the Yosenju Suject. It's kind of like your Honest of the deck, essentially. You hold on to him in your hand, and when you attack with your Yosenju, you can discard him to boost up your Yosenju by 1,000, or you can summon him to the field and boost up 1 on the field. So he's kind of like your little hand trap in a sense. So on to the regular Yosenju monsters. So I play 3 of the number 1, Yosenju number 1. So 1, 2, and 3 are pretty much what the whole deck is revolving around, because these are the guys that when you summon them, they give you an additional normal summon. So you can summon 1, and then you can summon 2, and then you can summon 3. You just can't summon another 1 off of his own effect. So each of them can only special summon, or not special summon, but normal summon an additional Yosenju card outside of themselves. So this one's cool. He pretty much bounces a card if you have another Yosenju monster out. And then I play 2 of the number 2. This guy, he's okay. I mean, he can attack directly, but then the damage is cut in half. But you got to play them because you want to be able to pump out as many monsters as possible. And I play 3 of the number 3, which is the Searcher. So basically, if another Yosenju monster damages your opponent, you get to search for a Yosenju card. And that's good with this guy because he can attack directly, and that's where he cuts his damage in half. Otherwise, he's an 1800 beat stick. So, the 3 Yosenju monsters are critical in the deck, obviously, and the ratios are up to you. I originally had this guy at 3, but I cut him down to 2 because I figured, his effect is okay. I would rather have the bounce effect and the search effect. So I just I put it at 2, because I put some other cards in here that search. And then we have some kind of like tribute monsters. These guys are like a little bit bigger. So we got the Yosenju Misak. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a face-up non-wind monster, you can destroy that monster, which is a neat effect. And when this card is Pendulum summoned, you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. And then he bounces back to the your hand at the end of turn. So obviously you're going to want to Pendulum summon this guy whenever you can. And for some protection, I decided to start trying out this guy. My friend uses him in his deck, so and I found him kind of annoying. And the good thing is, like, the thing is with this deck is you kind of always have an open field on your opponent's turn, or usually have an open field on your opponent's turn. So it's nice to have something like this. It's kind of like sort of like a battle fader in a sense. When your opponent declares a direct attack, you can send one Yosenju monster from your hand to the graveyard, except himself, and special summon this card from your hand. You can only use the effect of him once per turn. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's face-up monster, you can make this card's attack and defense become equal to the original attack and defense of the opponent's monster it is battling until the end of this turn. And then when this card's destroyed by battle, so if your opponent crashes into him, he loses his monster, you lose your monster, you get to add a Yosenju card from your deck to your hand. So it actually replaces itself, which is cool. And of course, you also have your Sujik. So if you want to boost him up by 1,000. So it's actually pretty good. I mean, it can make your opponent second guess that direct attack. Possibly keep you alive for one more turn. So those are it for just the actual monsters. Let's get into the Pendulum monsters. So I was messing around with this, you know, the ratios on this one. But yeah, I have, so Yosenju L and R. Originally I was playing 3 L's and 1 R, because I like the pendulum effect of L. So if a Yosenju monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you could destroy this card instead. And then this one is once per turn. If you have a Yosenju card in your other pendulum zone, you can make this card's pendulum scale 11. So it can pretty much pendulum out almost every monster in your deck. You know, and there's not many that I would pendulum anyways, but probably this guy, and you know, you can just surprise your opponent by just special summoning, because you have to remember these things, when they're normal summoned, they get sent back to your hand at the end of turn. So a way to get around that is to special summon them, and then they'll stay on the field. Or you can just special summon to go into some XE summoning. So I don't know, I might change it back to being 3 L's and 2 R's, or 1 R. But I'm just keeping it at that for now. And the other one I have is my Yosenju Hitot. This one is it's a level, I think it's 11, or 10 or 11, and it basically can modify the scale as well to 11, and then at the end of your turn, you can bounce him back to your hand. He does have an effect on the field, so cannot be special summoned except for a pendulum summon. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Each time this card on the field is returned to the hand or the main deck by a card effect, while this card is on the field, all Yosenju monsters you currently control gain 500 attack. So if you have him on the field and you bounce your opponent's monsters back to their hand, you boost up all your Yosenjus. And then during the end phase, if this card was special summoned, return it to the hand. So, you know, it's another one of those bouncing effects. And he was, well, I guess he's level 10, because all the pendulum scale goes up to 11. But anyways, yeah, so that's just my little pendulum. I don't rely too much on the pendulum of this deck, so it's just something nice to have. So now going into spells, I got 3 Pot of Duality. My first build on this deck actually didn't have any of these in here. And then I realized that I was lacking on searchability and just kind of consistency in the deck. And then I realized that Pot of Duality actually works well, because you hardly ever special summon. You know, obviously when you do your pendulum summon, that's a special summon, but in the early games on your first turn, all your cards are normal summoning. So Pot of Duality actually works to kind of thin the deck out, get to what you need. 3 tanky, Fire Formation tanky. It just searches out a Beast Warrior, which the majority of your monsters are Beast Warriors. So we got more searching and more searching. Yosenju Orochi Channeling. So this card, if you control no monsters, which in a lot of cases you won't, because they're always bouncing back to your hand, You can activate the following effects. Also, for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except Yosenju monsters, which is fine. You can add so there's one effect, you can add a level 5 or higher Yosenju monster from your deck to your hand. So that's pretty much going to be your Pendulum stuff. Your Pendulum guys here. Or it's going to be your Yosenju or your Mysak. So it just helps, pull stuff out of your deck faster. And then it's got another one. You can actually place Yosenju L and Yosenju R from your deck to your Pendulum zones directly. But then you destroy them during your next end phase, your opponent's end phase. So it'll throw out those Pendulum scales right away. And of course, when they get destroyed, you can put down new Pendulum and Pendulum back. So, and then I also play the Yosenju Training Grounds. Again, I fooled around with the numbers on this one. I was going to play 3, and then I realized, with 3 potted dualities, there's a good chance that I can get that on, close to the opening hand, and that's where this guy comes in. So if you get this on your opening hand, you could play your Yosenju Training Gown, summon him to the field, tribute him off, put the 3 counters on, use the 3 counters and to add a Yosenju card from your grave or your deck to your hand. And then it just kind of sets you up from there. So the first effect is remove 1 counter. All Yosenju monsters you currently control gain 300 attack. That might be okay if you really need to push over a opponent's monster. But really it's there for the secondary effect. And so that's it for the spells. Unfortunately, I don't have room for any real spell and trap destruction, which kind of would worry me, but, that's what the side decks are for. So we got 2 Torrential Tributes, because, like I said, you leave your field open all the time, so when your opponent starts going crazy with monsters, you can blow them all up. Yosenju Sword Sting, which is cool. This card actually, again, your opponent's side of the field, or your side of the field is going to be empty, so you can reveal up to 2 Yosenju monsters with different names in your hand, and target the same number of face-up cards your opponent controls, return them to the hand. So this is kind of like your spell and trap could be, if they have like a face-up Mystic Mine or something, you need to get rid of it. Or just any bad monsters on the field, you can just, bounce them back to the hand. And then the last one is Yosenju's Secret Move, which is like your Solemn Judgment of the deck. When a spell or trap or monster effect is activated, so it won't negate a monster being summoned, but it'll negate their effect. And you control at least 1 Yosenju card, which, in most cases you're going to hopefully have your Pendulum stuff out, so you'll have at least 1 card out, always on the field. All face-up monsters you control are Yosenju monsters. Negate the activation and destroy the card. So it's pretty much your negation of the deck. Now, the one card that I was playing originally was the Yosenju Sabu, but then I realized it's not. I don't know. I'm going back and forth. If anything, I'll put him. I took him out for this guy, so I might change it back. But I just found that oftentimes he was dead in my hand. I draw him on turn 1 or whatever, and then summon him, he wouldn't do anything. So, but he is good. I mean, he does pull out those Pendulum stuff. So onto the extra deck. I just kind of threw in what I thought would work. Link Kuribo, because he's a level 1, and if he's useless in your hand, you can just Kuribo him off. Pendestag, just for some piercing. I just kind of using that right now. I don't have a lot of Link monsters, and I just threw in that as well, Borrelord Dragon. Just for, just in case you need it. Lightning Chidori, good card. 2 level 4 wind monsters to summon it. And when it's XYZ summoned, you can target 1 set card your opponent controls, return to the bottom of the deck, and then once per turn you get to attach material from this card, target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, return that to the top of the deck. So really good to get rid of stuff. Again, because you're playing wind monsters, you can pull this guy out. This is Harpy's Pet Phantasmal Dragon. It requires 3 level 4 wind monsters, and it's pretty much, they can barely touch it. Like, this card's effects can only be applied or resolved while it has XYZ material. This card can attack your opponent directly. Your opponent cannot target any Harpy monsters with effects for the attacks. Well, you're not playing Harpies anyway, other than him. And during your end phase, detach 1 material. So you get like 3 direct attacks for 2,000 damage. So I just threw in a Utopia, an Emerald, you know, all the basic level or rank 4 XCs that I could find. Nothing special there. I also threw in some rank 6s like Strike Bouncer, Sword Breaker, Force, and Beetle, and of course a Charger that you can overlay. It's really just because you do play some 6s in here somewhere. This guy's a 6 and that guy's a 6, so you can XE into a 6. But yeah, that's my Yosenju deck. Still a work in progress, obviously, playing around with a few different ratios. You know, whether I'm going to continue to play 3 of these or 2 of these. I don't know. There's a few cards that I'm questioning if I should be using it or not. But anyways, let me know what you think and throw your comments down below. I always like to hear your thoughts on these decks and what you would play and what you wouldn't play. And hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.